December 2025, Shanghai, where the future is no longer theoretical but operational. The Yangshan deep-water port hums with mechanical precision as autonomous cranes glide across steel rails, lifting and stacking shipping containers with inhuman accuracy, processing 47 million containers a year without fatigue, without labor disputes, without a single American-made component anywhere in the system, while artificial intelligence algorithms route goods across 180 countries faster than any human-managed port ever could. And just 30 miles away, inside a fortified research facility, Chinese scientists test a quantum communication satellite capable of transmitting encrypted data immune to every existing decryption system on Earth, including those developed by the United States. And 2,000 miles south, in the contested waters of the South China Sea, the Fujian, China's third aircraft carrier equipped with electromagnetic launch systems comparable to America's most advanced carriers, launches Shenyang J-35 stealth fighters into the sky, marking the first time since World War II that another nation matches the United States simultaneously in manufacturing scale, technological depth, and regional military power. And this is not preparation for a distant future or a hypothetical competition. This is present-day dominance unfolding in real time, while American media cycles through culture wars and political theater, largely blind to the structural transformation reshaping the global order beneath the surface. Because for 75 years since 1945, the United States has occupied an unprecedented position as the world's dominant superpower, enforcing global security through unmatched military reach, defining technological progress through innovation leadership, setting the rules of global trade through economic weight, anchoring the financial system through the dollar as the reserve currency, and shaping geopolitics through alliances that spanned every continent, a period often called the American century. Yet that dominance is not ending because America chose retreat, but because China executed a disciplined, multi-decade strategy designed to erode every pillar of American power simultaneously: economic dominance, technological leadership, military superiority, financial control, and diplomatic influence. A coordinated effort largely invisible to the public because the indicators that matter are buried in supply chains, infrastructure investment, research output, industrial capacity, and long-term planning rather than headlines. And by the mid-2030s, China is projected to become the world's largest economy in nominal terms, a leader in artificial intelligence and quantum computing, the dominant military power in the Indo-Pacific, and the center of a new economic bloc representing more than half the global population, leaving the United States still powerful but no longer the singular rule setter of the international system. A transition consistent with the historical pattern of great power shifts that have defined global history for centuries, because dominant powers tend to grow complacent, overextend militarily, accumulate unsustainable debt, and hollow out their industrial base, while rising powers focus on economic strength, infrastructure, technological investment, resource security, and long-term planning, as seen when Britain dominated the world in the 19th century, controlling a quarter of global land and population, producing a third of industrial output, ruling the seas, and anchoring global finance with the pound sterling. Yet beneath that dominance, British manufacturing stagnated, military commitments drained resources, and debt ballooned, while the United States quietly built railroads, electrification, steel production, oil refining, and industrial capacity at unprecedented scale, overtaking Britain economically by 1914 before two world wars finalized the transition and installed the dollar as the world's reserve currency at Bretton Woods in 1944. A 74-year process that mirrors today's dynamics almost perfectly, as the United States maintains over 700 military bases across 80 countries, carries national debt exceeding $36 trillion, struggles with aging infrastructure, offshored manufacturing, and political polarization that undermines long-term strategy, while China follows the same playbook America once used, building manufacturing dominance, investing aggressively in infrastructure and technology, avoiding costly foreign wars, accumulating gold and strategic resources, and waiting as the incumbent power weakens through debt and overextension, then challenging it not in a single dramatic confrontation, but through steady pressure across every domain at once, beginning with manufacturing scale, where China now produces more than one-third of all manufactured goods globally, exceeding the combined output of the United States, Germany, Japan, and South Korea, dominating solar panels, batteries, rare earth magnets, smartphones, steel, shipbuilding, electric vehicles, and industrial robotics, creating leverage over global supply chains that translates directly into geopolitical influence, a reality Americans felt during COVID, when critical medical supplies and pharmaceuticals were suddenly unavailable domestically because the capacity to produce them had long since moved offshore, while China continues moving up the value chain, exporting not cheap goods, but advanced technology, including telecommunications equipment, aerospace components, electric vehicles, and precision machinery, surpassing U.S. high-tech exports and redirecting trade toward Asia, Africa, and Latin America, where Chinese influence grows and American leverage weakens, locking in dependencies through the Belt and Road Initiative and the Digital Silk Road that embed Chinese standards, software, and infrastructure into the economic foundations of over 150 countries, ensuring that the physical and digital arteries of the 21st century are built, maintained, and controlled by China rather than the United States. At the same time, China is executing technological leapfrogging in the industries that will define the next 50 years, treating artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biotechnology, advanced materials, and aerospace not as commercial opportunities alone, but as matters of national power, funding them through coordinated state-industry partnerships at a scale the fragmented American system struggles to match, with artificial intelligence at the center of this effort, as China leverages access to data from 1.4 billion people, unrestricted by Western privacy regimes, to train large-scale AI systems that increasingly rival or exceed Western models in real-world performance, positioning AI as a force multiplier across autonomous systems, finance, drug discovery, logistics, cyber operations, and military targeting, while quantum research progresses rapidly through state-directed programs that have already produced operational quantum communication satellites, quantum radar capable of detecting stealth aircraft, and encryption systems immune to interception, undermining one of the foundational advantages of Western military and intelligence dominance, all enabled by China's control over critical materials like rare earth elements, gallium and germanium that underpin modern electronics, batteries, and weapon systems, giving Beijing leverage over the very inputs required for advanced manufacturing worldwide, leverage it has already demonstrated through export controls that exposed Western vulnerability and the years-long timelines required to rebuild domestic processing capacity. And this technological rise is matched by a military transformation focused not on global conquest, but on regional denial, making it prohibitively costly for the United States to project power in the Western Pacific, where the People's Liberation Army Navy has become the world's largest by ship count, launching modern vessels at a pace American shipyards cannot replicate, fielding aircraft carriers with electromagnetic launch systems, deploying fifth-generation stealth fighters designed for carrier operations, and surrounding these platforms with dense missile networks, including anti-ship ballistic missiles capable of striking moving targets at extreme ranges, fundamentally altering the risk calculus for American carriers and undermining the assumption of uncontested naval dominance. While parallel investments in space systems, satellites, cyber capabilities, and anti-satellite weapons aim to blind and disrupt U.S. forces in any conflict, as Pentagon war games increasingly show scenarios where American intervention around Taiwan or the South China Sea would result in heavy losses politically unacceptable to sustain, eroding alliance confidence and regional deterrence, all unfolding alongside a quieter but equally consequential financial reordering as China builds alternatives to the dollar-centric system through gold accumulation, reduced reliance on U.S. treasuries, bilateral currency trade, the cross-border interbank payment system, and institutions like the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and the BRICS New Development Bank that provide financing outside Western conditionality. Lessons reinforced when Russian reserves were frozen in 2022, demonstrating to every government the vulnerability of dollar dependence, prompting a slow but accelerating shift toward diversification that weakens one of America's most powerful tools of influence. And none of this means the United States is collapsing or irrelevant, but it does mean the era in which America could assume perpetual dominance without industrial renewal, fiscal discipline, infrastructure investments, and strategic cohesion is ending. Because great power transitions are not sudden collapses, but gradual rebalancing processes driven by material capabilities rather than narratives, and China's rise represents the most significant geopolitical shift since 1945, not because of ideology, but because of scale, coordination, and patience, reshaping the rules under which trade, technology, security, and finance operate, with direct consequences for supply chains, job markets, inflation, security guarantees, and political leverage that will define the lives of the next generation, whether Americans are prepared for it or not.